Hey, buddy. Simba here did very good on the session, and I'm keeping his attention with these treats. Focus. A little bit early for the focus that we saw in the above video, but the more we practice that, eventually he'll be able to do that on demand. Now we went on a walk, we used the martingale collar, and I showed the guardian how to use special twists of the leash. I think it's going to give her a little bit more control. Walks are going to be really important because we have Button and a German Shepherd that they live together. They've only been together a very short-term period of time, and there was a little bit of a dust-up. And we weren't here for it, so we don't know what happened. They could have just been playing, and it got a little bit out of hand. There's a little bit of a scar on, on Button though, and we want to make sure that they feel good. So one of the things we could do is take them for walks together. High five? Five. So taking them for walks together, keeping both dogs on the side, neither dog's in front, neither dog's behind, helps the dog have a bonding experience because they share the thing. And I would have both guardians walking both dogs together. So that way, one dog's on one side, one dog's on the other. The dogs feel and see the human are taking turns leading them. So I have, as a dog, I have respect for both humans as leaders. The more they see us as a leader, the less of a burden of responsibility they feel like they have. I think in his case, I think he thinks that he needs to protect or be possessive of his guardian to some capacity. Now, I still think that a lot of this is related to the dermatitis issues that he has. And hopefully we'll be able to get that cleared up. Now, the other thing is we have a new environment and a new dog, and he's dog reactive. And so there's a lot of things that are going on for him that make it a little bit of a challenge. Okay, if you're gonna say please, I'll give it to you. Holding up your paw like that can be a way of saying please. Now, pawing at me is not something I would want to reward because I'm gonna encourage that behavior. Remember, anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're rewarding. And this can include fear, anxiety, stress, anger, aggression. So if your dog is nervous and you wanna let it know I'm here for you, we're gonna touch and let it know I'm here with you, but I'm not gonna pet and caress. When it comes to petting a dog, I prefer to pet a dog under a chin like this, and I prefer not to pat a dog on top of their head. Almost no dogs like being patted on top of the head, and a lot of times you facilitate that nose-down orientation we just saw. Proud dogs feel good about themselves, have their nose parallel to the ground or tilted upward. Insecure dogs look down. So petting a dog under the chin facilitates that nose-up orientation. This is why I really like to pet a dog under the chin whenever I'm petting with a purpose or doing passive training, because these are times where I'm asking the dog to sit, come, lay down, or do something that I want them to do, and I want them to feel good about those things. You gotta wait, buddy. This is gonna be like a 10-minute video. I only have like 5 more, so we have to pace ourselves. Now, if he ever puts his paw on top of you when you're petting him, that's a dominance move. Immediately pull your arm away. When we come home from work, or from running errands, if he's all excited and bouncing around and we pet him, we're rewarding him for being excited. So just ignore him. As soon as he settles down, start reaching for him. As soon as you start reaching, he's gonna start wiggling and get excited again. Pull your arm back and continue doing what you were doing before. Don't pet him and don't chastise him. So the first time it'll be like this far and you have to pull out. Then it was this far. Then it'll be this far. Then he can actually make contact, or however many times it'll take. But each time he gets excited and gets up out of a sit, pull your arm back and walk away. Eventually he'll learn, oh, so if I stay with 4 on the floor, she'll pet me? And a lot of the times that is the case. What is his command for this position?
Lay down.
Lay down. I would recommend you say lay or down.
Mm-hmm.
I actually prefer calling this crash. I call my dogs, I say crash. I like unique words. Some people say lie down, some people say lay down. Also, dogs' compound words cause confusion. And some people say lay or lie, and some people will just say down. So you might want to consider thinking about doing that. And if that is the command, I might say lay down, and when he lays down, then say crash. Okay. Pat him under his chin, and not in the head like I was just demonstrating. All right, so petting with a purpose. This is, before we pet him, we're going to ask him to sit. Use this hand motion. Just cup your hand, have your fingertips. The lower I go, the more accessible it goes for the dog. So as I lower it, I start clearing my fingers to block him from seeing that there's nothing in my hand. But the first several times you do this, first like 50 times, you should have a treat in your hand. And you lower it as soon as they, let's see if we can get you to do this. You'll get that. So this is how I put him into a sit. Sit. Now if he came to me, I would pet him and say come, because that's a more challenging deal, or exercise. So basically, we're going to make him earn his affection from all the humans. Sit, sit. This way, and we tickle him under his chin, because that way he at least gets a reward even if he doesn't get a treat. But this way he starts to learn, if I want attention from a human, I have to sit in front of them. I have to be respectful. I have to do something for them, and then they'll pet me. And so, speaking of the sit, I would like the guardian to take some treats with her when you're walking just with him. And every once in a while stop, for no reason, tell him to sit, and give him a treat, and then say sit after the treat goes in his mouth, and then walk a little bit more. I have one client where I told her between every driveway, stop somewhere, ask the dog to sit and give the treat. She did that for 3 days. After 3 days, in between every driveway, she went out with no treats, and she goes, the first time I stopped, the dog just sat automatically. That's the point. Mm-hmm. We want the dog to be in a more subordinate position. Sitting is a more subordinate position, laying down is even more so. So I'm not going to talk about the stuff we went over in the focus exercise above, because there's a roadmap or there's a method for getting him around other dogs. But if we do see another dog in the street before we have the roadmap or before we have the focus, or even after, if he starts pulling and we let him pull us towards, then he's taking control. So it's going to depend on the energy of the other dog, but if he sees another dog, he starts staring or holds his breath or breathes really fast or lowers his head or licks his lips, stop. Tell him to sit. Wait for his energy to dissipate and settle down. Then start walking towards the dog again. You might have to stop after 2 steps. Mm-hmm. So what he learns is I can't approach the other dog in an aggressive way. And if he's pulling towards the other dog, that's going to make the other dog more apprehensive as well. Mm-hmm. So if we teach him to sit, if he's sitting, it's going to make the other dog feel more comfortable. And then he's approaching the other dog in a very casual manner, it's also going to make the other dog feel comfortable. And it's not allowing him to ramp it up. He gets a little bit more excited, a little bit more excited. And eventually he gets so excited he can lose control of his faculties, or the other dog reacts and it turns into a fight. So the more that we can help him practice restraining himself will help. Mm-hmm. This is why I showed the guardian off camera how to claim the area around the door. And if you have problems with that, or the other roommate needs to know how to do that, message me. I can send you a link to another video I did with another client. But we moved the dog away from the door, and then we taught the dog how we want them to behave throughout the door answering ritual. And that's something I'd like you to do for everything. So if the dog has problems being around the dinner table, or around this table, one of the rules is the dog's not allowed to be within like a box, like as if there is an area rug. And sometimes that's an awesome thing to do. If you got an area rug that went from the table or from the couch to about here, and then it was the same width, then you can just say you're not allowed to be on this carpet when somebody's eating food here. Mm-hmm. We're going to use those 3 other rules that we went over, having to sit before it goes in or out of the door, having to sit and wait for permission to eat food. Let me see, not being allowed within 7 feet of anyone who's eating, permission to get on the bed, things along those lines. Mm-hmm. Not being within 7 feet of the other dog when the other dog's eating. That should go both ways. So petting with a purpose is just asking the dog to do something first and then petting it and saying the command word only. Just sit, not good sit. And then sit. Passive training is just simply rewarding the dog for desired actions and behaviors. Every time he comes to me, pet him and say come. Every time he lays down, pet him and say crash or chill or whatever the word you want to use is. Mm-hmm. Every time he sits, pet him and say sit. If he picks up the newspaper and brings it to you, say paper or delivery. Come up with something like that and try to make them fun commands. They should be one-word commands and unique words. They don't sound like another word, but fun commands can be beneficial. My dog, I have a retreat command. I say retreat. She stands up, backs up 4 paces, and lays down. Mm-hmm. That is infinitely helpful if I'm carrying stuff in or things along those lines. So try to come up with some fun command words. Let me see. We went through the escalating consequences. Make sure you're using those to disagree with unwanted behaviors and do them one at a time. When we're moving away from the dog, make sure as soon as the dog's stationary, we take those 2 steps backwards. If we're answering the door or doing other rituals, when we're moving away from the dog, we're going to keep our hips pointed at the dog and back away from the dog, facing the dog. And we're going to stop in between steps. Step, step, stop. 1 second. Step, step, stop. 1 second. Keep repeating that process until you get away. Eventually, you'll be able to turn around and you don't have to take the pauses between steps, but in the short term, we need to. Now, be consistent about these rules for the next month. It's going to take about a month for the human to get in a habit of doing it and for the dog to get in a habit of doing it. Mm-hmm. The focus would be great if other roommates could practice that as well, and I would practice it with the other dogs. So we say focus, and the dogs just stop what they're doing and look up at us. Now, first when we're doing it, make sure the dogs are apart, but eventually bring them in the same room once they both establish and know how to do it. It'd eventually be great if one of you is doing a focus for one dog here, one is doing it on the other side there. The table's kind of between them, so they're not going to feel infringed, and that helps them focus together. Let me see, if you do have any other people who bring dogs over, again, we could do things to put him in a position to succeed, taking him for a long walk before the dog comes over. Make sure that dog goes for a long walk because it's full of energy. I would say normally take him to doggy daycare the day of, but that would probably be problematic for him. But the more exercise we can burn off, the easier it is for them to control their faculties. Mm-hmm. Let me see, what else? Eating, it's important the human eats something first, then we give the dog permission to eat. And I would feed the dogs together, but maybe keep the dogs in this room, the door open, and one dog bowl there and one on the other part. Don't put the dog bowls right next to each other. Mm-hmm. And then you control when the dog comes in. And when one dog comes in, You let that dog eat, and when that dog's done, it has to leave the room, and the second dog comes in. This way the dogs are not infringing on each other's stuff. Be careful of the dogs having bones or edible things around each other, especially in the short term. Mm-hmm. I think in about a month, you guys are going to be, they're going to be best of buds, and you're going to be able to leave them together. But in the short term, I probably wouldn't have him in your bedroom when you're not here. So just to make sure, dogs get better at anything they do, including aggression. So we don't want them to practice being aggressive. Let me see, am I forgetting anything else?
I think that's all.
I think that's pretty much it. So if you have questions, like I said, don't hesitate. Make sure you call me or text me. I can only help you if you let me know that there's a problem. All right, buddy, come here, Simba. Let's do a little bit of focus. We'll end this one real quick. Focus. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.